All right, the time is 7:38. I'll call this meeting of the mayor and council to order. Today is Monday, September 22nd, 2014. This is a regular business and public hearing of the Snellville mayor and council. All members are present tonight. We first have our invocation, and Councilman Kraus has agreed to lead us in tonight's invocation.
Almighty God, you proclaim your truth in every age by many voices. Direct in our time, we pray those who speak where many listen and write what many read, that they may do their part in making the heart of this people wise, its mind sound, and its will righteous, to the honor of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Announcements. We will have a planning commission meeting tomorrow night, September 23rd. There'll be a 7 p.m. work session and a 7:30 p.m. meeting here at City Hall. On September 30th, we'll have Snellville Public Safety Night, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on the town green. Is that right? Yes. On the town green. October 3rd, we'll have a blood drive here at City Hall from 1:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the community room. To learn more about blood donation opportunities, visit www.redcross.org or call 1-800-733-2767. On October 5th, you can watch a rebroadcast of this council meeting on Comcast Channel 25 at 6:30 p.m. Our next regularly scheduled council meeting will be October 13th. We'll begin with a 6:30 p.m. work session in the conference room and a 7:30 p.m. meeting here in council chambers. The October 14th Board of Appeals meeting has been canceled. Now for the Pledge of the Flag, we have the Philadelphia Wind chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. If they'll come forward and lead us in the Pledge of the Flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies, if you want to not go far, I'm going to read your proclamation. Under ceremonial matters, we have Proclamation 2014-12, Recognition of 2014 Constitution Week. Whereas since 1956, the Sons and Daughters of the American Revolution organization have assured that Gwinnett County and its cities observe Constitution Week each year in order to encourage education about America's most important document and the historic events surrounding its framing. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. Whereas September 17, 2014 marks the 227th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention convened in Philadelphia in 1787. Whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation. Whereas this observance calls to mind the sacrifices of brave Americans who have fought to defend and protect the liberties which it grants. Whereas it is our duty to protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Whereas Public Law 1915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week in the United States of America. Now therefore be it proclaimed by I, Kelly D. Couts, Mayor of the City of Snellville, Georgia, that September 17th through 23rd, 2014 shall be Constitution Week in the City of Snellville. I ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals that our framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Proclaim this 22nd day of September 2014.
We got so many people.
Sure.
The Philadelphia Wind Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and appreciate you letting us come to your council meeting and ask to be excused.
Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks so much.
No, you have to stay.
We then have under ceremonial matters, Resolution 2014-15.
Mayor,
Yes?
we got a little technical hitch here with Erica. I wonder if we could move that resolution back under new business so that give them a few minutes to get ready, if you don't
Okay.
mind. Thank you.
That will bring us to our minutes. Do we have a motion on the approval of the minutes for the July 7th, 2014 specially called meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes of the July 7th specially called meeting.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Howard, motion by Councilman Emmanuel. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The minutes stand approved. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 14th, 2014 business and public hearing meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes of the July 14th business and public hearing meeting.
There is a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Kraus. All those in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. Do I have a motion on the minutes of the July 28th, 2014 business and public hearing meeting?
Motion to postpone approval of the minutes for July 28th, August 11th, August 25th, September 8th, and September 10th till the next regularly scheduled meeting.
There is a motion to postpone. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Howard. Additional discussion, Councilman Emmanuel, is there something specific about, I know we've had several emails go back and forth, but I know that one person can't ask the city clerk to change something. It has to be consensus of council if we're actually going to change something more than just typos. So is there something specific? I think last time we motioned for action minutes. Is there
Yeah,
something-
there are still a number of typos and there are some errors, and we just need to get it right before we approve it.
So you're not asking for the format of the minutes to be changed this time then?
There have been some changes, but they're still not action minutes. They're abbreviated versions of what we had previously. We need to convert them to action minutes, and we need to have accuracy in them.
So your motion is postpone and convert to action minutes?
Postpone and convert to action minutes and correct errors.
Councilman Howard, is that your second?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. I'm going to oppose. I don't know necessarily what the action minutes, but anyway, that's fine. They are postponed. We have no invited, you wanted to do that under new, no invited guests. Now for our committee department reports, Ms. Ferris, the chairperson of the Board of Appeals. Ms. Ferris, do you have a report for us?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have 2 items. The first is we have had a vacancy on the Board of Appeals since the end of May when David Brown moved from Snellville. After he had resigned, I came over to City Hall and went through all the applications that the city had on hand. Some of them were as old as 4 years. I called people, found out a lot of people had moved from the city, so the applications are null and void. Some people didn't return my phone calls. The board met at the beginning of June and interviewed candidates for the position. We voted unanimously for Matt Zarek to join the Board of Appeals. So I'm hoping, Mayor, that you will nominate Matt and the council will appoint him. The second item is there was no meeting in September.
Ms. McAloon, do you have a report for us from the STAT Board?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This past Sunday, we celebrated our 4th annual Around the World Visit Snellville International Festival on the Green. We're very pleased to report it was a successful event. We moved it from Briscoe Park onto the Green, had much more visibility. We had the nice presentation of the flags on 78 Highway. Thanks to St. Oliver's Church, the flags were on loan. And I also want to thank Paul Reuter from St. Oliver's. He helped pick up the PVC pipe, cut it, place the flags at a very nice angle on the green. So it looked really nice for the event. It was a nice touch. It was amazing at the event, the amount of people that really came up and said, wow, I want to be part of this next year. You know, they were from different countries that live right here in Snellville. So that was just nice to see the involvement of folks that do want to get involved, you know, that really will represent a much larger culture next year in the city. The entertainment was great for those of you who came out. It was a big hit. A huge thank you to our Around the World committee members, Carl Heisman, Charlene Adams, Hugo Trejo, Marilyn Sweeney, Marcy Ferris, Kathy Emanuel, Regina Hart, Claudette Forbes, Sharon Hetherington, Jean Harrison, Susan Chapelier, and Carol Hall, as they all worked very hard in helping plan and put the event together. Want to give a shout out to the South Gwinnett High School students, the Beta Club, and the National Honor Society. A great group of kids, about 20 of them ended up coming out, and to all the other volunteers that gave of their time so freely that day. And a big thank you to our council members who help all the time, set up, clean up. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Woods, for getting our arch up, because that was like our highlight, our entrance. We were worried about that coming in from Shanghai. Appreciate that. Councilman Emanuel, as always, is on our beautification committee. And Councilman Howard, you know, is always there beginning, middle, and end to help, you know, whatever you need, just let me know. And really, Councilwoman Bender, I appreciate you coming out. I know you had to leave, but thank you for coming back and helping cleaning up. All those efforts are greatly appreciated, and we appreciate your service to the community. And thank you, Councilwoman Kraus, for also being out there. Thank you to Public Works staff, Craig Barton and Ricky Willis, for helping prepare the city. And Ricky came out early on Sunday morning to move the stage. And honestly, that's very much appreciated, because it takes really everybody to make this happen in Snellville. Thank you to our Snellville Police Department for keeping us safe throughout the day. And as I have said in the past and will say again, it takes a team to make these large events so successful, and we do have the best team in Snellville. So I'm honored to be a part of that. All the pictures from the event will be posted tonight on the Snellville Snellville Tourism and Trade Facebook page. And while you're there, don't forget to like us and help us achieve our goal of 10,000 likes. Our last Popcorn in the Park will be shown this Saturday night at Briscoe Park, featuring Frozen. And it will be a little chilly, so it's apropos to have Frozen in September. Presented by Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Stevie B's and We Be Chillin' will be on site selling some pizza and some frozen drinks. This Saturday, we'll wrap up another fabulous year at the Snellville Farmers Market. And I know many in Snellville, the 1,500 to 2,000 that attend every Saturday, will be sad this will be the last Saturday. But all good things must come to an end, and then we wait until spring, and they'll be back. And this Saturday, once again at the Farmers Market, Give Hunger the Boot will be accepting non-perishable foods for the Southeast Gwinnett Food Co-op. And I know David will probably have some of that in his report tonight, so I'll leave it at that, but bring out your canned goods when you come to the market on Saturday. The committee, headed up by Kurt and Gretchen Schultz, really does an extraordinary job throughout the year, bringing Snellville only the very best. So if you get a chance, stop by the market. for the last time this year, say hi to everybody and thank the committee for all their hard work throughout the year. Mark your calendar for the 5th Annual Fall Festival on October 25th from noon to 7 p.m., followed by our last concert of the season from 7 to 9, featuring Banks and Shane, presented by About Face Skincare. Our website will have all the latest information regarding the hay rides, costume contest, dog contest, pie and cake baking contest, and much, much more. The fall edition of the Snellville Spirit, I hope everybody got it. It's also here at City Hall. If any of you have not received it, pick one up at the door as you leave City Hall entrance. The Scarecrow contest we have listed in the magazine. We have a full page in here, and it's been incredible. The businesses in Snellville who have already reached out who want to participate in this event, and that's very exciting. Last year we had 24 registered, 22 participated, and I've already had 10 new businesses contact me with really exciting scarecrows that they're going to build. So this is just a great community builder. It's open to anybody, whether it's a business, residents, schools, or churches. So if you know somebody, the deadline is October 4th for the Scarecrow contest. If anybody's interested in becoming a STAT board member, you can also go to our website at snellvilletourism.com, fill out the form, and send it in. I believe the deadline's October 4th, Marcy? Is it October 15th? Okay. Marcy Ferris and Marilyn Sweeney are heading up this committee, and the deadline for that application is October 15th. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. McAloon.
If I might, no questions, but Kelly, just thank you for everything that you've done, for all the events this year so far, and the International Festival was great on Sunday. Thank you.
Mr. Sanders, you have no report, is that correct? Okay. Do I have a motion to amend the consent agenda?
Mayor, I make a motion that we amend the consent agenda to include the rental of this town green and the stage to First Jerusalem.
New Jerusalem.
New Jerusalem Baptist Church.
And is there a second to add that to the consent agenda? Second by Councilwoman Bender. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed, and that's added to the consent agenda. So if there's no objection, that will stand approved, and that is for October 18th. Correct, Mr. Sanders? The 18th. Okay. Old business, we have a public hearing. We have our second reading on RZ 1405. This is consideration and action on an application by Dimension Development Partners LLC to amend the official zoning map and request for variances from the City Code of Ordinances for retail and restaurant center on the 1.82 plus or minus acre site located at 2019 Scenic Highway, Snellville, Georgia. This is the old bank site on the corner of Dogwood and 124, and they're asking to rezone it or to zone it for a Polo Tropical and Krispy Kreme. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Once again, I'll just go over the background info. It's 2019 Scenic Highway. The request is to rezone from business neighborhood or neighborhood business to general business, BG, to construct a Pollo Tropical and a Krispy Kreme donut restaurant. This total site acreage is 1.82. They're also requesting several variances relating to site design, signage, and landscaping. The 128.82 acre property was originally developed in 1990 and previously served as a BB&T bank. The new proposed restaurants will be approximately 2,400 to 2,600 foot Krispy Kreme on the southern end and close to 4,000 square foot Pollo Tropical on the northern end. There'll be a total of 70 parking spaces between the two, and they've asked for one variances as far as the drive width aisles for these drive-through lanes. Typically, we require a 20 feet, and that's just for emergency pass-through if you get stuck in the lane and you need to go around. They've requested, since the site's a little tighter, to drop it down to 16, and that should still give enough clearance if emergency arose for them to make it around and exit the property if they needed to. Here's the landscaping plan. That'll kind of lead us to our next set of requested variances. The current landscaping plan provides 47 trees, 217 shrubs, and 212 ground cover vegetation. It also meets the current requirement for tree density units as predicated through the landscape buffer and tree ordinance. They have requested the ability to reduce the number and size of the landscape islands, which are typically a determinant of your parking. There's an internal one shown here in order to meet the challenges of putting two buildings on one site. All of the required ground coverage and shrubs and trees are still there, just done a little more atypical in form and size. We don't have any problem with that. We recommend approval. They've also requested that the northern landscape strip, which appears to be rather large, is close to 15 feet to the eye, but really more about 5 when you look at the parcel line. So although it appears to be much larger, technically it'll be 5 feet. Everything will still be planted the way it needs to be, and it will meet the code requirements. So we recommend approval for that one. They've also requested a little bit of a reduction on the southern end. Due to the fact that the drive will be there. Also, it's going to abut the current buffet building that's there now. There's already, they'll clear it basically to their property line. They'll come back and shrub it, and it'll be 2 feet at its smallest part, just along this part. We don't have a problem with that. It's still going to get landscaped and look nice, and once again, it backs up to the back of that building, so it's not really a required buffer there. All right, now we'll kind of go over the signage request, really the bigger parts of the application. There's numerous ones, so I'll kind of just go over each elevation. Start off with Pollo Tropical. What we've typically got on most of their elevations is what we consider the definition of a sign. And currently, these shutters constitute signage. These architectural panels are considered signage, as well as this menu board, and then your typical channel letter construction signage here. And the total on that elevation is 228 square footage. It's over by a little over 200% if you include the canopies, and the way our ordinance is designed, we have to include those. The south elevation, I believe, is this one, has some of the same issues, the shade and the canopy. And then once again, actually this is the south, I'm sorry. Same kind of setup, architectural board, shades, and sometimes canopies, and then their channel letter construction. And then the rear of the building, all of those would require some variance as far as maximum allowable square footage. Typically, when we have a national or regional type restaurant retailer, we allow a little more flexibility in their sign design, typically because it's a regional brand. It's something that they try to brand with the restaurant, and typically even more so with redevelopments when we're getting a new development out. This is what their prototype looks like across, the southeast for the most part. We don't have any issues with the signage since it's tastefully done. It doesn't seem over encumbersome on the wall with the stone and the stucco. That's Pollo Tropical. We can get into Krispy Kreme a little bit. Here's their typical, kind of their prototype that they're planning for the Snellville store, just so you can get an idea, brick and glass with some stucco elevations. Okay, one of the sign type variances that I'll touch on first is the Krispy Kreme type bow tie type sign. It's not available to be produced in a channel letter construction, so it has to use your more traditional cabinet sign. It is what I believe raised and textured, so it's not just a flat box. It's hard to get a lot of times these logos and these brands to conform to channel letter signage, and due to the size and proximity, we don't really necessarily have a problem with that. With this type of brand, I feel like it looks good and it fits. That's typical for where they have these. They have 3 of these, and then on the monument as well. So those all require variance for signage type. The other major variance for them is, we had some discussion about this earlier, was the use of this exposed neon type signage, which is currently prohibited in the sign ordinance, which is also a trademark or, a national brand of what Krispy Kreme is trying to do. And just to kind of go over where we have those, we've got 2 on the monument sign, approximately 16 square feet here, and you can see, you can see both of them if you were looking at the sign directly, the one on each side. They have one in the window on this side, and then another one in the window on this side. And I don't have the back of the building, but the largest one is on the back of the building, and it's close to 30 square feet as far as the size of the neon. I understand there was some concern about the use or the amount of and the size of those signs, so we'd certainly consider reducing those. Like the applicant to have the chance to at least speak and feel like where they can best meet the concession. One more variance that I did forget is that typically you're only allowed 1 monument sign per road frontage. They want to put them both on scenic, so what we did was basically split the difference, allow them to have 2 on scenic, 1 up here, and 1 down here below to help with sight distance and turning. We know how hard it can be to make left and right there, and allow them to split the difference with 2 smaller monument signs. So we were okay with that. So. No, go ahead. I'm done.
Is that, the 2 signs that you're talking about on scenic, that's one's going to be the donut and the other's going to be the other shop?
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay, it's not two Krispy Kreme
No,
signs?
sir.
Okay.
Be
that's-
1 each, and then there won't
Okay.
be any large ones on the dogwood side.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Jason?
That's the rear one. It's kind of hard to see on here, but that would be facing Dogwood and basically Texas Roadhouse, and anybody driving in to the drive-thru. Thank you, sir. Good.
Other questions for Jason?
Put the piece up that's got the proposed location of the 2 buildings. If you don't mind. Okay, speaking of Krispy Kreme, scale that down a little bit so we can see Dogwood Road in that.
You want to get a little bit out?
Yeah, there we go. So here's Dogwood. The large Krispy Kreme sign you speak of on the back of the building
Right
would
here.
be here, which theoretically you could see potentially from back here off of Dogwood's the only place you'd really see that.
Yeah, maybe. Depending, there's going to
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that impactful that far back and that far into the property itself, I guess. I just want to be sure that's what we were talking about, because it did look like, if you're looking at the back of the building, the left-hand side of the building.
Then I believe there's a window, this will help you kind of understand, but there's a window sign inside the building
Right.
here, 1 here, and then 2 on the monument over here.
Right. Yeah, the one on the back of the building, how much it's going to affect Dogwood, doesn't appear like it would affect it as much.
And it'll be heavily planted around that detention pond too, so you might be able to see it once you get in the parking lot.
Other questions for Jason? Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Is the applicant present? You have an opportunity to speak if you'd like.
Okay. My name is Brian Russell, and I'm with Continuo Group. We're the civil engineers that work with and represent the Mention Development Partners on this project. And we're happy to be talking with you today about this project. And our proposed tenants are very excited about Snellville. And so I wanted to take the opportunity to thank your staff for working with us on the project. It's a challenging project, and they've been great in helping us shepherd us through the process and in trying to get this done. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have, talk about the project. I think your staff has gone through and explained the variances pretty well. So I know that the neon signs are an issue, and I know we've been talking about those. It is a branding issue with Krispy Kreme. So I think there's 6 stores in and around this metro area, and they all have neon on them or a mix of monument sign. So, but we can continue to talk about the neon if that's an issue.
Mr. Russell, just to be clear, your address 572 Oakdale Road, Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes.
Just for the record? Okay. And Mr. Russell, it looks like some of, and I don't know, this may be a time thing, but some Krispy Kreme signs simply have hot and donuts and now. This one appears to have that plus the Krispy Kreme logo in the center again. Is that a change? Is the other sign smaller?
Yes, this is a change to their logo with the iconography or the neon for that. Yes.
Anyone else have questions for Mr. Russell?
What can we do besides neon?
In speaking with Krispy Kreme today in anticipation of our conversation, they are willing to remove the neon from the monument signs, or the monument sign in both directions. I think for them, they would not continue to move forward with the project if the neon was removed from the glass storefront and the rear of the building. So I think that they would be willing to remove that from the monument signs if that continues to be an issue.
And the ones in the glass are actually inside?
They are inside, yeah, and they're hanging from the mullion in the storefront.
Additional questions?
I appreciate the consideration of taking it off the monument sign, because that's where my big hangup was. We just don't allow that in the city, and I'm so afraid we'd be setting a horrible precedent.
Absolutely, and we want to be conscious of that as well. So we want to try to do as much contextual as we can with the community as far as design goes.
Good, thank you.
About the height of the signs. Has that been taken care of, Jason? I'm a little confused on it.
Yes, sir. The diagram I showed you was from an earlier sign plan.
Okay,
before we
you've got that worked out
conditions.
though, and you're good with that.
80 square feet maximum with a 10-foot high maximum height.
Gotcha. Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Jason, and you'll probably have to help with this one as well. On the monument sign now, if we go taking the neon off of the bottom part of the monument sign, then that just becomes all brick. There's nothing that we're going to replace it with, or?
Not if you condition it that way. I mean,
Okay.
the current sign ordinance allows for the base to not count against your signage area. If they wanted to increase the cabinet or the logo at the top, if you want to limit them to what they have minus the neon, just be specific, because that 80 square foot, which includes the base, outside of that 2-foot base, they can basically use however the rest of the monument they want as signage under the current ordinance, unless you restrict it further to just basically say remove the neon and allow the rest of the
Well,
signs.
and I guess that's really why I wanted to bring it, is if we're going to, they're going to take that off, and, they're going to be willing to do that, do they want to make some other changes
You
within what we currently allow?
You could just allow them to stay within the sign ordinance with the condition that the neons won't be used, and it'll just be treated like any other monument
Okay.
sign in the city.
I just wanted to make sure you had that opportunity to do that.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to take public comment, and if you want to say anything afterwards, I'll allow you the
All
opportunity.
right, thank you.
Thank you. This is on for a public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and speak for or against this application, please do so now. Seeing no one, I will close the public comment portion of this hearing and open it up for a motion by council.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motion to approve RZ 14-05 with the conditions stated by the Planning Department, as well as the new condition that was discussed this evening to remove the neon signs from the monument signs. Now, I realize that there's going to be a space there, Jason, and what additional verbiage needs to be in this motion?
If you want to just allow them to comply with the standing monument sign ordinance, you can just leave it at that. It allows them some flexibility to do a little bit more there, but the neon won't be there, and they won't be allowed anything more than any other new business in Snellville.
Thank you.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Witz. Mr. Russell, are you in agreement with those conditions for the motion?
Yes, we're in agreement with the conditions.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as stated signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The rezoning and motion stand approved. Thank you, Mr. Russell, and welcome to Snellville. That brings us to new business. We have item A. Ms. Bender, you withdrew your sponsorship for item A, so this will be postponed. Technically, I got to put them on the end, but we're going to try to get through it quickly.
Yeah,
Guys, see, yeah, I see.
This is not a postponement. This
I'm
would
sorry,
be a
removed.
withdrawal.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That brings us to the next item, consideration action on the Board of Appeals request for nomination approval of Matt Zarek as the board member. Is there any action on this item?
Yes, I'd like to move that we approve Matt Zarek as a board member per the request of the Board of Appeals.
A motion by Councilman Emmanuel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Kraus. Additional discussion of the council. I will not be supporting this motion tonight. It has nothing to do with the applicant. It has to do with the rules of procedure. Everyone is aware that council several times has failed to support nominations the mayor's put forward because of their self-imposed rules of procedure. But our charter and the rules say, first of all, that it's supposed to appear on a work session agenda first, which it has not. Second, our charter is clear that all nominations are made by the mayor. The council has attempted to amend the charter by what's called home rule, which means their vote, and that currently is part of a lawsuit that members of this council have brought against myself in my capacity as mayor. That's still pending in the Superior Court. So I don't believe any motion by a council for a nomination is valid and will not support this. All those in favor of the motion as stated signify by raising your right hand. That's 5 in favor. All those opposed, 1 opposed. The motion stands approved. Item.
If I may, Mayor, just a point of clarification. On the agenda here tonight, it's actually got 2 item A's under new business, so we just need to be careful when the minutes are drafted that they're not listed as item A. I don't know if you want to change it.
Right, it's actually a Scrivener's error, so it should be A, B, C, D, and E.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear in the minutes.
We then have consideration action on award of bid for construction services for Snellville Senior Center, cast stone repairs, authorization to authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Do I have a motion to postpone this to our October 13th meeting?
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilman Witz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Howard. All those in favor of the postponement signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The motion stands approved. We then have consideration and approval of a settlement agreement for Insta-Loan. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent order and the settlement agreement as presented by the city attorney.
There's a motion by Councilman Kraus. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval of the consent agreement and settlement signify by raising your right hand. That's 5 in favor. Those opposed, 1 opposed. The motion stands approved. D, nomination and confirmation of Sam Roper to the Snellville Downtown Development Authority. Is there a motion?
I will make the motion, please, nomination and confirmation of Sam Roper to the Snellville Downtown Development Authority, which is also called our DDA.
There is a motion by Councilman Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. Further discussion? Again, for the reasons I previously stated, I won't support this action tonight. I understand that Councilman Emmanuel found some state law that believes is different. However, it's always been the history here in the city of Snellville that the mayor nominate the DDA positions as well. Councilman Howard?
Well, I want to just talk a little bit about Sam Roper just in general and what him and Amy mean to this community. They continue to give their hearts to this community with the way they serve and do the things that they do. So this is just another extension of Sam's hand to enhance our city. And perhaps, Mr. Powell, is there something you can add to that part of the nomination process for the DDA appointment? Is there something you can add to that so we can?
The appointment process for the DDA is a state law provision, and the nominating, appointing entity is the governing authority. It's not your charter. It's one of those that trump the charter.
Okay, so the governing authority meaning the governing body of the city of Snellville. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor of the appointment signify by raising your right hand. That's 5 in favor. Those opposed, 1 opposed. The appointment stands approved. And that brings us now to item F, which would be resolution 2014-15, a resolution to honor Steve Darrell. Is he in the room, or
Well,
do we
he's
need to wait?
outside with his child. We're just going to get him.
Yes.
There he is. Come in, Steve.
This resolution reads, whereas the Snellville Community Foundation, Inc. was erecting the Snellville Veterans Memorial on the lawn at the Snellville City Hall to relight the eternal flame in Snellville in honor of all veterans, whereas Steve Darrell, a videographer and owner of Blue Rose Media Solutions, wanted to contribute his time and talent to this endeavor, whereas Steve Darrell volunteered his professional services to produce a 10-minute video about the construction of the Snellville Veterans Memorial, whereas once he became involved with the Snellville Veterans Memorial Committee and began interviewing veterans in our city, he expanded the scope of his project to include the stories of our veterans. Whereas the final project became a 1-hour documentary about the making of the Snellville Veterans Memorial and the men and women whose names are honored on it. Whereas the documentary Freedom is Never Free, the story of the Snellville Veterans Memorial, tells the story of Snellville's Veteran Memorial and its honored veterans. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Snellville, Georgia, where everybody's proud to be somebody, wishes to honor hard work and dedication of Steve Darrell in creating a story that will be available to all future generations as a part of Snellville's history. Resolved this 22nd day of September 2014. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2014-15?
So moved.
There's a motion by Councilman Witz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emmanuel. All those in favor of the motion as stated, signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The resolution stands approved. And Ms. Bender or Mr. Witz, are you present the resolution once it's signed?
While we're signing it, Mayor, we do have a small clip of the memorial. Steve, while Steve is coming down here, I cannot say enough of what Steve has done for the veterans in our city, what he did for our memorial. He's immortalized it. Can you imagine today if we could look back on a memorial or look back on a video that showed what the veterans of the Civil War, how they felt when they came home, or the memorial that was built for them? Well, the technology at that time didn't allow that. But 100 years from now, when people in Snellville want to know how World War II and Vietnam veterans felt when they came home, they'll be able to look at what Steve's produced, and they'll know exactly what the men and women who fought for our country felt for this memorial. Thank you.
For space.
Well, you know what? Better than that, we have the ladies that just sang that song in the room with us. Maybe we could get them to come up and sing it for us live. Mayor, I'd also like to introduce, standing back there by the doors, Steve's wife Sandy, who is also a teacher in the middle school here in Gwinnett County. She's a school teacher in Gwinnett County. Steve Lee? There he is.
That concludes our new business. Now for council reports, Mr. Witz.
I don't have much to say after that performance, except that those of you who have not seen the entire video, make it a point to do it. We'll be showing it here again on Veterans Day, or whenever we have the Veterans Program, it'll be announced, but it's a very, very, very special documentary. It's a 1 hour of the memorial and the veterans. You'll hear from a 93-year-old veteran who was a prisoner of war during World War II, who told stories that he'd never told before that documentary was made. So there's a lot to see. We're very proud of it. Steve did a wonderful job. This is television quality, I promise you. The sound works through the whole thing. So please, if you get an opportunity, make sure you see it. And also, they are going to become for sale as soon as we get a little bug worked out, and they'll be available at City Hall at the reception desk. And it'll be on our website when that's available. Thanks.
This will be Steve Darrell night. I did want to congratulate him. He was approved to become a board member for the Snellville Entrepreneur Council this past Friday, so we welcome him. He is a great story, and we'll get him up here one day to talk about it, on how he got plugged in with the city of Snellville. He had a business in Decatur, and him and his wife moved out here, and he thought, well, I'm going to try it here. And he got to talking to one of our business owners who's on our board, and she got him excited and drawn in. He came into one of the city's summits, the entrepreneurial summits, and heard about all the great resources that we had available to small business. And then we happened to meet out on the sidewalk. He met with Tom about doing the Veterans Memorial, and him and I were standing out there chatting, and I mentioned, oh, you should come to mentoring or the peer advisory board with the Entrepreneur Council. And he was like, I've heard about that. So we just kind of snagged him right on in. So looking forward to working with Steve. Again, as Kelly said earlier, it was a great event, Sunday afternoon, great weather, really good turnout, a lot of fun stuff going on, a lot of good activity, I think, going on with the kids. So appreciate everybody that came out and helped support that event.
First, Steve, outstanding job. I hate to keep beating a broken drum, but it really was an outstanding job, and anybody who hasn't seen the video should watch it. It's just superb. Anybody who missed the International Festival yesterday, I think probably one of the best things going was Barbara Bender wearing a mustache. And I want to say thank you to the Farmers Market Group. We collected a whole truckload of food and $100, and I delivered it to the co-op on Saturday afternoon. It's always an ongoing need. We're going to do it again at the final Farmers Market, and then we'll have some special things going on because we have Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and that's when the need is most severe, and there's still a lot of people in need. So keep in mind, we're going to let you have two options, money or food, and they need them both. So we'll have some special events coming on. My thanks once again to the Farmers Market for helping us.
Good evening. Last Friday evening, the Arts Commission put on an event where two ladies that were the authors of the book, Thanks for the Lift, Bosom Buddy, and they came out to talk about their book. And so, I sat there expecting these women to just read a little bit and talk about their book, but instead, they put on these skits about all the little things that happened in their 60-year relationship. And so these are the two women. Kathy Van Landerham is the taller woman in the green, and Gail Mosby is the woman to the right. They were hilarious. It was an awesome evening, and if you missed it, you missed an awesome gig by the Art Commission. It was very, very funny. And one of the stories, this is one of the outfits in one of the stories, and it was payback for a 40th birthday party that Kathy was 40, and so she was paying back Gail on the right at her 50th. And what they did is all Gail's girlfriends got dressed up like this and met her at the airport when you could actually go to the gate. To hear them tell it, it was wonderful. I mean, they were extremely funny, and they had a lot of skits. So I think we're going to ask them to come back again, maybe in the wintertime. And ladies, come. It was really a funny evening. It was a great evening. With that, thank you very much for coming tonight.
How's everybody doing? Standard question. Everybody spend some money in Snellville this week? Okay, good.
Too much.
Well, no, there's never too much. Keep spending. Couple of things going. Here you go. Put the clock up for me, would you? Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, the wonderful thing about doing what we do, we get the opportunity sometimes to go to things and do things we maybe wouldn't ordinarily go to do. I had a chance Thursday night to go down to Sam and Chrissy Thomas's, I forget which number extravaganza it was, but one of the things they were doing to raise money was for a group called Creative Enterprises Incorporated, and basically it's a nonprofit training and employment program for people with disabilities. But one thing I learned about the thing, and I had not heard of it except for a few weeks prior to that, 45% of their participants come from this area. So they service this area tremendously well, and it was just a neat opportunity to meet a group that's actually working in the community. And quite frankly, I had no idea. And honestly, there's numbers of these out there. So there's all kind of things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about that are helping people in our community. Now I got an alarm. It's just 2.5 minutes. Okay. I will start talking slower. Talk about the comp cab a minute. The folks with Pass System, John Caputa, mentioned to you, has agreed to send us an alcohol sensing flashlight for us to use out on, in the field. And but he's also worked a deal, I believe, I hope we're able to be successful with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, to actually pay for and fund that piece of equipment for us. So we continue to do a lot of great things with that vehicle, and we continue to get high marks for what we're doing, bringing the awareness, about drinking and driving, and that's what it's all about. And I would guess if I were to ask everybody in this room that would want to do something if they could about drinking and driving, you'd all stand up and say yes, wouldn't you? I can't imagine anybody not standing up. But we're doing some things with it. Recently, we're going to go on October 13th. Texas Roadhouse is a golf tournament for multiple sclerosis that they do in a big way, and it'll be prominent there in the tee boxes at that thing. And Wednesday, the chief and I are going to make a trip to Macon, Georgia, to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. We've been invited by Mr. Director Blackwood to bring it down there so the entire state can see what we're doing with that piece of equipment. And we're awfully proud of it, and awfully proud of a lot of people that helped pull that thing off. And so you'll be hearing a lot more about that in a couple of weeks, and just feel free to talk about it. We'll be at the homecoming coming up in South. So we got a lot of good things going on, as always. Thank y'all all very much for the opportunity to serve, and be safe going home.
That concludes the council reports. Now for the mayor's report. I'm sorry, I missed the book talk on Friday night. It was something I was looking forward to, but I was at the football game for Brookwood High School. It was gold out there, and was privileged to take part in the pregame festivities with the Amanda Riley Foundation. So it's not too late. It's September 22nd. You still have time. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and if you haven't already, I encourage you to get the gold bows for your mailbox and to make your donation to childhood cancer awareness. Remember, 46 children every day are diagnosed with childhood cancer, and 7 children every day die from childhood cancer. On a more pleasant note, Saturday had some of the best barbecue in Snellville, the Masonic Lodge. If you were unable to attend, they'll do it again in the spring, so I encourage you to come out and enjoy the Masonic Lodge's barbecue. And on Sunday, I had the opportunity to attend for just a little bit the festival. It was great. I appreciate the fact that y'all moved it to the town green and the different activities. And so I want to thank the stat board and all of the volunteers for another fantastic event. This Friday is the Battle of Snellville. It's Brookwood versus South Gwinnett High School for the football game, and I'll be giving out the Mayor's Cup at the end of the game. So I encourage all of you to come out and cheer on whatever team you are for. It's at South Gwinnett High School Friday, I believe, at 7:30. And that will conclude my mayor's report, and I'll open it up for public comments.
Kelly McAloon, 2916 Overwood Lane, Snellville. I just really need to add something to my report. I would be remiss leaving off a very important volunteer that was on the committee, and that's Trish Rollins. People work just too darn hard and too long, and Trish is one of those people who she was here Saturday morning at the farmer's market at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and she was still, well, that was Saturday, she worked all day, and then Sunday she was here at 8:30 in the morning, and we worked till 8:30 at night. So, Trish Rollins, thank you for what you do, and I'm sorry I missed you.
Jared S. Blankenship, 2867 Overwood Lane. I would start is that you give the veterans, but I think I have been disgraced by the councils for 17 years, and that includes this one. I'm a veteran. I had 8 brothers and 2 half-brothers that served in service, and the way y'all have treated me is a total shame. This council, councils before, under the ADA, pretty funny, ain't it, ma'am? could call this my friend, or you could call it a dummy that I made, or you could call it an exhibit. But what he's done for 4 minutes, exactly what y'all have done with me or any other citizens under the ADA in the city of Snellville. And you should be ashamed of yourself. This has been going on since January of 2013, and the hearing with me and the complaints has been going on for 17 years. And the only thing y'all write one letter and say that y'all will type this for me, and that y'all will type it only if I speak or somebody speaks against me, which I think is a total flop to this whole council, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Additional public comment?
On a happy note, business is still growing in Snellville, y'all, and coming up again. We've got a lot of things going on in the city. I'm sorry? Name and address. Jamie Dempsey, 430 Crested View Drive, Loganville, sorry. But a lot of things coming up in the business community in Snellville. We've got a grand opening on the 4th, this Saturday, at Operation Homebrew up there at Cooper and 78. So there'll be a ribbon cutting up there, and then also on the 23rd of October is the grand opening and ribbon cutting for Eastside Family Pharmacy. Again, repurposing an empty building here in our city, and so what a wonderful way to attract more businesses into our community. I just want to say that from the business standpoint, things are growing, things are moving, and things are happening in Snellville. So that's something to be happy and proud of. Thank you.
Kurt Schultz, 2027 Tanglewood Drive. About, I'd say 2 months ago, Ms. Couch, you told the press that you were going to be swearing in Ms. Richardson, and I'd just like to ask if that has been done yet. So you're not going to respond? Okay, you chose not to respond. One more question. Has the threatened lawsuit by Ms. Richardson been dropped yet against the city? Well, I guess that gives us the answer. Almost seems like you're complicit in that.